Ladies and gentlemen,
they want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the day of old. They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare.
What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It's like 8 in the morning over here in the EU, Central European time. Should be about 2 in the morning, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. Do me a favor, click the like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe. Yeah, it helps people get the notifications, you know. Yeah, and it does matter, you know. It's not always sure you get them so fast, and I might do it impromptu live, you know. I don't always have them scheduled, so that's really going to help folks out in that regard. But I appreciate those of you that have been checking me out and supporting, especially the ones that go way back, the My Odd Forever crew. You know who you are, and big up to Shaka doing his thing, and everybody else. But in any case, for those of you that's been joining me for a minute, you know I like to talk about politics. I like to talk about politics, and yeah, because we live in a rapidly moving political world. In fact, you know, it's our society. You know, it's not something you could really separate yourself from, politics, because in a democratic society, in Western capitalist nations, voting is how you make laws, and voting is how you participate, how you get your voice. Without a vote, you pretty much don't have much of a voice, you know. And if you think voting should continue in Western democracies like the USA, press 1 in the chat if you think voting should continue, or if you think voting should just discontinue, that we don't need voting and voting's not important. Put 2 if you don't think it's important. But if you think it's important, put 1 in the chat. Now, Now, it's been a lot of developments. I'm going to start off first with something a little more serious because this is coming down the pipe very fast. And I was telling you yesterday, as far as coordination, coordinating, coordination, high level coordination that goes right along with this Epstein cover up is this vote here. Is this vote. The Supreme Court, because a lot of people don't follow the own politics in their country, particularly Americans. Americans, 1/3 of the population. That's 80%. That's 80 million people. That's the size of Germany. That would be considered the biggest European. Just 1/3 of the U.S. is like the biggest European nation in numbers. They don't even vote in presidential elections. So that tells you how many Americans, 80 million Americans, are not concerned about the Supreme Court. They're not concerned. And if you're not concerned about the Supreme Court, you are not concerned about justice, period, for anybody, including yourself. If you are not concerned about the Supreme Court, basically, you may as well be a slave. Pretty much. You may as well be a slave because after all, a lot of the laws that have come through the Constitution slowly, according to the Constitution, right? Because according to the Constitution, Congress writes the laws and can write laws and can create new laws. A lot of people would still not even have voting rights at all. Let me tell you who those people are. Women across the board would have no voting rights. Period. Women would not be able, since the conception of the country, women were not able to vote. They were not among the founding, quote unquote, fathers, right? If people use that term. They were not among the ones who sat at the table and wrote, had a damn thing to do with writing the Constitution. They weren't invited to the club. They weren't invited. They weren't the only ones. But we're talking about the women. We're talking about the women of the same ethnicity as the people, the men who wrote these documents. They didn't have their own women included, so you were like a side piece. Then these same people, a lot of them, they were sleeping with slave women on the side, so these same women that couldn't vote, they had to watch these same men go out and get some, have sex with people they deemed as not on the same level as humans. Like literally, this is their idea. This is what their thoughts. Isn't that really perverted? Like in your mind, have to rationalize because of oppression that people are not human, right? They're not endowed with the same things. They're different on the scale of human or animal. They're not on the same scale as you. You have to rationalize that to oppress them. But then you got to go out and have sex with them too. I mean, just imagine that mind state. That's the mind state. That's what was going on. And it took women a century to get the right to vote. So, but women are affected by this. If you didn't follow the Supreme Court, if you didn't follow Congress, these kind of things, the Constitution, hey, you wouldn't have a vote. If you didn't have any of these amendments, you wouldn't have a vote, and they're not the only ones. You see, white men, poor ass white men in Republican states, you wouldn't have a vote either, because if you don't own any land, you don't have a vote. Yeah, that's right. Back then, you broke asses were not included. You see, and you were up to the same perverted shit too, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe not. Who knows? But we do know that a lot of the founding fathers, they had side pieces that were slaves, right? So just keep that in mind when you're talking about the people that are, writing the laws. They got little side pieces. You see what I mean? They say one thing to you, but they got a side piece because they got the money. They got the land. But for you, you got different, you broke ass MAGA people have to live out a different law. But in any case, Supreme Court prepares to end voting rights as we know them. So they want to quietly seep in there, get in there and make another erroneous ruling to stop people from knowing what's in the Epstein files. Don't be disillusioned. This is about freedom and knowing if your country is controlled by the outside through blackmail, through honeypot schemes, yes, people like your president, yes, people like the MAGA folks was like, yeah, what about Bill Clinton? Yes, people like Bill Clinton. It's about knowing that, knowing the truth. And the MAGA folk, right when they got up to the ledge, they was like, nah, fuck that. We don't want to know. And they're all saying that. Even the ones on the Supreme Court, they're saying that. Now, see, the only way Trump, his administration has no intention on releasing the Epstein files. If they did, they would have done it already. They have no intention of following the courts either. Any court, any lower court that tells them to release it, they're not going to follow it. And the Supreme Court is going to find a way to delay anything if it ever reaches their desk, right? And this is one of the ways they're trying to head it off. You see, so they know that their heads are on the chopping block come this midterm election. So they're running crazy to protect their lifelong job, the job you have to pay for. Yes, any real American goes to work, and a penny, a dime, a nickel, a dollar, $10, $20 out of their paycheck goes to these people's lives who can afford health care, who can be corrupt, who can take a little yacht trip, who can take plane trips, who can get their grandkids gifts by private folks, anonymous private folks, this kind of thing. They're running in there because they have been a part of the scam the entire time. And guess what they look like? Guess what they look like? You could see this is kind of going to lean in the direction, right, of what it kind of, pretty much has always leaned on in terms of having your dick out on the table and screwing with slaves, trying to have a wife and look pristine, making the law, talk all the bullshit. But then on the down low, you got a little slave wife of a different color, a slave that you like to have sex with of a different color. It's going to lean in that direction, this vote. You see, it's going to lean in that direction because that is just what it is. It's always been like that. Now, there have been other cases. These are the cases they're going to try. They're going to try to take this across the country. They're going to try to take this across the country. But let's take a listen to it first. Let's see here.
Absolutely, yes. The US Supreme Court is currently engaged with at least one significant redistricting-related case and is actively preparing for additional rulings.
Now, this case is going to set precedent across the country. So it's not going to just affect Louisiana, whatever the ruling is.
Louisiana vs. Calais, racial redistricting and the Voting Rights Act. The Supreme Court has postponed its decision on this case and will hold re-arguments in the fall of 2025. Site Turn News 56 Turn Search 7 San. Just recently, the court requested supplemental briefs from both parties addressing a critical question. Could the intentional creation of a second majority black congressional district, done to comply with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, violate the 14th or 15th Amendments?
So you see the angle that they're going into. They're going to say that this is, although the Voting Rights Act is because of discrimination, right? Now, you could argue this all the way. You could argue for other people's rights too, even women's rights, because you got to understand a lot of the politics hasn't yet hit rights of women yet. Some of it has in the courts, like the right to have an abortion. Like right now, I mean, that's coming up that's coming up in this election too. So it's there, but it hasn't hit people in the same way. A lot of men, white men, particularly in the U.S., the ones that identify as white. Some people don't. Some European men of European descent identify as Irish American, Italian American, these kind of things. But some is just white. I'm just white, right? That for them, that's a culture, right? So they have the right to identify that way. So for a lot of them, they identify this way, right? And they never really think about the implications of their own family members, until it happens. Like they don't really understand that women discrimination affects women too. The 14th Amendment affects women also. You see what I mean? They don't think about it because they're used to thinking about their own dicks a lot of the times, often. Like the honeypot folks, like the people trapped in the honeypot scam, often thinking about on the side, even while having wives. You see what I mean? So this has always been a norm in society across the world. So you have this issue in the U.S. too. They often forget that women are coming to vote too. And this amendment can affect them. The 14th Amendment affects them, but they're steady. These hard-headed men that threw their dick down on the table too many goddamn time with young girls, got blackmailed, espionage now, ruling them all, having people like Putin and Netanyahu hold it over their heads regarding international politics, having other private industry people hold it over their heads, they're just going to keep picking away at it. This is all they got. They won't even win. It's insane. It's insane to think we're going to dismantle our Constitution because we got caught with our dicks out there too many times. But this is what is going on. Don't be disillusioned. It is.
Site turn news, 35, turn search, 1 turn search, 20. A ruling is anticipated in the 2025-2026 term, likely time to avoid disrupting the 2026 elections.
Look at this. It even says likely time because they're in a race. They're in a race, like for real. Look, no matter what, it doesn't matter if it's a month. It doesn't matter if it's a year. It is part of this election. It is going to disrupt it, but it will not stop the people because the people are fed up with all of them. They're fed up with the Supreme Court. They're fed up. Women are dying. Women are being told that they have to give birth to dead fetuses. They're dying. White women. On the table, being sent home, told they have to keep the dead fetus in their body, keep the chemical in their body, just as long as it has a heartbeat. It doesn't matter if it's dying slowly for weeks and emitting, toxic chemicals in their body. That doesn't matter. That's going to kill the mother. That doesn't matter because, they just got to have that just slightest little boop, 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 boop. Even though you can't even save a person that comes in, they don't even have health care for most of the, Americans anymore. With a little bit of heartbeat is not even good enough to get your ass saved and get into a hospital anymore in the U.S. But when it comes to women's bodies, it is.
Site turn news, 30 turn news, 56. This case has drawn national attention because it effectively puts Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act on trial and could reshape the future of race-conscious redistricting across the country. Alabama. Potential future appeal. In Alabama, a federal court has ruled that the state must use a map that includes a second black majority district, and Alabama Republicans are considering appealing to the Supreme Court. This could become another key case if brought before SCOTUS.
Right, so you have these cases coming up, right? And it is what it is. It is what it is. You have these cases coming up, but it's not working out as well as what Republicans think. I mean, a lot of Republicans think that all people are just going to continue to go down the same line of thinking over and over and over. No matter what, we're just going to be hard-headed and we're just going to go about it because, hey, we're macho men. And hey, although I don't want to take a ancestry DNA test to prove how American I really am, even though, I don't want to tell you how many generations my family goes back in America, I'm just going to wave the flag and hope you don't notice it.
You may remember Geoff Duncan, Brian Kemp's Republican Lieutenant Governor of Georgia. He ran in 2018 with Marco Rubio's endorsement as a business-friendly promoter of conservative values. But in the years that followed, Georgia became a flashpoint for national politics in the 2020 election cycle. President Trump tried to pressure Republicans in the state to, quote, find votes for him so he could win the state he lost. Geoff Duncan had enough. He called out Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani for spreading doubt about the state's election. In 2024, Duncan even endorsed Kamala Harris, speaking at the Democratic National Convention. And after trying, in his words, to save his party from Donald Trump, Duncan announced this week that he's joining the Democratic Party. And there's a lot of speculation that he may try to run for office in the state again. but not as a Republican, as a Democrat. In an op-ed for the Atlanta Journal.
Do you hear that? Do you remember this guy? Maggots? Do you remember this guy? You little scumbag maggots? And yes, you are the type that would go out and be married and then creep out on the side and have sex with a black woman. You are the type. Okay? Let's get it straight. You've always been that type. Phony and fake. You know, which is why you're protecting pedophiles right now, because you are that type. Take a listen.
Constitution, he laid out his support for expanding health care access and his opposition to Trump actions like immigration raids and cuts to food assistance. My decision was centered around my daily struggle to love my neighbor as a Republican, Duncan wrote. The list of reasons why I'm now a Democrat continues to grow. Most importantly, my decision puts me in the best possible position each day to love my neighbor. And joining me now is one of Georgia's newest Democrats, former Lieutenant Governor Geoff Duncan. So let me start by just asking you, this is a big switch for anyone. I mentioned some of the issues you talked about in your op-ed in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. How did you make the decision? And when did you make the decision? Why did you decide it was the right choice for you?
Yeah, Jen, you know, this has been going on for years for me. I think most folks that have been around me, operated around me in politics and in the legislature, saw this evolution happening. And it was twofold. One is the Republican Party has just turned into something I don't recognize, don't respect. But also, you know, I always wanted to be in the solution business. I got into politics 10 years ago because I wanted to, you know, come up with creative solutions to real people's problems. And Republicans have just created a brick wall around so many of these solutions. And so, you know, I wake up today refreshed that I can be back in the idea business. And, you know, Georgians and Americans in general have real problems. You know, as I mentioned in the piece, over 1.2 million Georgians wake up every day without health insurance. And Republicans have said that the answer to that is a job. The reality is 85% of those people wake up in a working household. So they have a job.
85% of those people, and he's sitting in office right now. 85% of those people that don't have health care in Georgia have a job. So this man is flipping now from being a Republican leading the state to a Democrat over this issue. He's going to explain why.
They just don't have the right job. So we've got to figure out creative solutions around that and other things like gun control. Over 90% of Americans want to have serious action taken on gun control, yet Republicans won't let it across the finish line because they're scared of their own shadow on the issue. And the list goes on and on. I'm excited to be back in the idea business.
Just like they won't just release the Epstein files because they're scared of their own shadow. Just like the Supreme Court is going to rule that the Trump administration, because look, the Trump administration, according to the Supreme Court, doesn't even have to listen to them. That's how erroneous the Supreme Court is. According to the Supreme Court, they don't even have to listen to you because they can't prosecute Trump. It's only according to the Supreme Court, it's only the executive office that can prosecute, that can go out and say, hey, you violated the law. Supreme Court can only write it, but they can't do nothing about it. So they're saying that Trump doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to follow any order. The DOJ does not have to follow any order of the Supreme Court. I mean, they've already gone through this.
You also talked in your piece about immigration.
Of course, this is their interpretation. There's never been an administration that has done this before. The Supreme Court has never ruled for any other administration in the same way. I wonder why that is. I wonder why. Could it be some of them had their dicks out on the table too with the young girls? Let's see.
And some of the immigration actions we've seen recently, people being terrorized on the streets. Those are my words, not yours, but you talked about that in your piece. There are other issues Democrats care about. What did you not have space to write about? Abortion access. What are other things people should understand you're aligned with them as now a member of the Democratic Party on?
Well, I think it's in a general sense, poverty in general. There's so many different, facets of poverty that, in my opinion, there's been too much demonization of people that are in poverty. I think about, leveraging a $17 billion rainy day fund that we have in Georgia, some sort of jumpstart for those folks that are, one prescription away from being able to carry a full-time job or one roof
And it's a lot of poor white Americans in Georgia. I mean, this is the insane part about it. Like, you know, a lot of these maggots will say, let's sacrifice the majority of poor white people just because we want to hold back some black people. Just some. Because, see, you won't ever hold back enough black people, black Americans, because they're a minority in their own country anyway. You haven't been able to. You're afraid of them being even 14%. You see what I mean? It's insane. It is insane.
Over their head, away from being able to get their family back together, or one skill set away from being able to launch a career. There's opportunities for us to leverage, but we have to be creative. We have to think outside the box. And for me, that is part of this platform that I'm now a part of in the Democratic Party.
Okay, so he hold on, let me
a
see.
unique place. You know, as Lieutenant Governor, I got to serve as the President of the Senate, and one of the most rewarding aspects of that was working across the aisle.
So keep this in mind. He has changed parties. He is the Lieutenant Governor right now. So that means all that little emergency shit going on in Texas, it ain't going to happen in Georgia. They're going to take action about this issue, about the gerrymandering. They're going to lean in the direction of the other blue states for all of this shit until an election happens. You see, but then again, an election under this governor's watch, this is the same governor Trump picked up the phone and had the nerve to say, find me some more votes. And he was like, go fuck yourself. I'm an American first, Republican second. That's what he said. So it's getting interesting. It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. But on to the same thing. It's all connected, by the way. It's all connected. All of this shit, they're only running to try to gerrymander to keep control of the Congress because they don't want the Epstein files getting out so people can find out how their country has been held hostage and how Trump is a part of it. They don't want to. Again, it's the same tactic. Protect a few while the masses go unprotected. That's what this is all about. They wouldn't be trying to gerrymander if it wasn't about this upcoming election, this upcoming 2026 election, midterms, which if enough Americans vote, they can actually get control 2/3 of the Senate, and they have impeachment power. Not just the power to impeach, but the power to enforce, to say, you're not the president anymore. You Supreme Court justices that took bribes, you're out of here. That's what all of this is about. All of it is about this election. Everything. It's about Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Elon Musk. All of it is wrapped into this next election. Now, let's check it out. Trump, he got asked a few words here. Let's see what Mr. Trump, our proud president, swinging dick everywhere. You know, woo, likes him young, too.
Unprecedented.
Mr. President, did you have a phone call with Andrew Cuomo? Did you speak to Andrew Cuomo?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Mr. President, have you been briefed on what Ghislaine Maxwell told Todd Blanche?
No, I haven't. Have
you
not.
don't know whether
I don't
came
know.
up in the
I know Todd
conversation
is a
or
very
not?
respected person all over the country, all over the world legally, so I don't know.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Will the new Fed governor be temporary?
We're probably going to go with a temp and then a permanent, I think.
Are the two
So the temp is going to be named, I'd say, over the next 2-3 days, and then we're going to go permanent.
Are the two Kevins the leading contenders for the permanent spot for the chair?
Well, the two Kevins are absolutely, yeah, they're both very good.
Mr. President.
The two Kevins, very good.
Mr. President, is Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw it reported today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Now, the reality is that they know, people know who killed Epstein. They know that. And these people, they also know that the American people are starting to catch on that for some reason, people who hid it in Florida, the first case, are involved in hiding it again, right? Finding out who was involved, who is being blackmailed, what foreign nations know about this, and how many other aristocratic American men, quote unquote, were involved in this. They know this. But since they've been working on this case, since they've been digging in those files, of course, Trump doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't know what's in those files. He knows what's in those files. And he also knows, I mean, if there's any information in there about who done it, Epstein, if there's any information in there about who done it, this man is definitely not going to release it. Why do you think that is? See, again, they are clamoring and they're going to do the same charade because a lot of these maggots fall for this cool, calm, collective. We don't know. It's just fake news. They've been going for that the whole time, even though they ran on the damn platform to release the files in the first place. You know, and that's where I lose respect with maggots. I mean, I never agreed with you. I always thought you all were damn bigots. A lot of you fall for bigotry instead of true patriotism, true love for your country. A lot of you suffer from lack of education about your own goddamn country, which is pathetic. It's nobody else's responsibility. You know, it should be yours to know your country better than you know it. But a lot of you are isolated. A lot of you have been victims to the wealthy class exploiting you, throwing out pieces of meat, of bigotry, hate the N-words, hate the Hispanic, hate all these people to where they keep you, going along into this cycle of while you're running around trying to stop, the other poor people that are Americans too from having health care. They're raiding your treasury. They invite a foreigner in. They invite someone into the country, who, I mean, it's just so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing, while you're running around chasing the poor immigrants, you all don't even care if some immigrants control your entire politic. Yeah, immigrants. Yeah, exactly. You all are the maggots are the ones that claim that they're out there trying to fight for the country. The immigrants are taking the jobs. The immigrants are getting too much attention. The immigrants are this, the immigrants are that, and meanwhile, at the top of the list of the immigrants who's really controlling their lives, here they are. Here go the immigrants right here. Here they are. Elon Musk and Ghislaine Maxwell controlling all that Republican world. All of it. All of it. All of it. Every single thing these people are doing is for the richest dude in the world and the woman that has the receipts on the pedophiles, who are likely not the brown type, if you want to put it out there, who are likely not those type. You see, you maggots are running in circles. You're so goddamn dumb. It's just embarrassing. And I really hope, because I will always acknowledge, who an American is. If your family was in this country fighting for the Civil War, fighting for the War of Independence, I will always respect that. I will always acknowledge that because mine did too. Even though my color might be different than yours, mine did too. So I will always respect that. But what I will never respect is some fake asses that use that history and aren't even a part of it. Like Trump. Trump is not even a part of it. He's a goddamn immigrant himself. He's a immigrant who holds up the flag like, this guy wants to, this guy wants everything that other people's ancestors fought for in reality. And then he walks in, does everything for people like this who don't even need the fucking help. I mean, he's going to help a pedophile, rapist, criminal, espionage, Ghislaine Maxwell. She means more to him than your maggot ass. Elon Musk means more to him than your maggot ass. I mean, this is what we're watching for real in the USA. This is what we're watching. And it all comes down to who did it. Who did it? Who killed Epstein? Who do you think? Do you think Ghislaine Maxwell knows who killed Epstein? Do you think that's what this is about? I mean, Inquiring minds want to know what's in those Epstein files. Is it a motive for murder? Possibly. You tell me, maggots. You tell me. Now, let's continue. Let's see. What else? This is just, I mean, this is blowing up in their goddamn face. It's ridiculous. But here we go. We must do this. We must have this little conversation just because some people just don't want to admit a damn
Top
thing.
Trump officials were set to attend a dinner at the vice president's residence at the Naval Observatory this evening. On the menu, a strategy discussion on how to handle fallout from the administration's own handling of the Epstein files. Now,
Hold
after...
on. Yo, hold on. This is so funny. Craig says, Trump, Epstein, 2028. Exactly. Thank you. Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell, Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell, 2028.
Intense coverage, officials tell CNN that the dinner is now in flux. In fact, some people in the Trump administration say this dinner was never actually going to happen. Now, we stand by the story here at CNN. Either way, we don't know whether it's ultimately going to be called off or moved to another location, rescheduled. In any case, as we noted, Vance's office denied such a meeting was taking place. The expected attendees, we've been reporting here at CNN, Vice President J.D. Vance, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who recently conducted...
Oh, my God. Kash Patel, another immigrant. I mean, this dude this is what MAGA is all up to. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at least he could be a proud immigrant. God damn, he is a disgraceful criminal. A disgraceful fucking criminal, leeching off the American people, leeching. And Pam Bondi, sorry, but she was, her offices in Florida were involved in letting Epstein off the first time. She got a promotion because of what didn't happen, what her office shut down in Florida the first time with Epstein. Why do you think she's right here? Anyone who thinks Pam Bondi is going to release a goddamn thing about any Epstein files obviously hasn't been following the Epstein story. Not only that, she capitulated. She said she was going to release it, and now she's not. I mean, it goes to show you shouldn't be racist. And you shouldn't be misogynistic. You shouldn't be any of that. People are just people. Some people are opportunists, and some people will sell their souls for power, even for a check, just for some health care. Some people will do that, and that's Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. It shouldn't matter if Pam Bondi, I don't even know where her ancestors are from, by the way. I don't even know if they've been in the country longer than mine. I don't know if her ancestors have anything to do with fighting in the War of Independence or in the Civil War. I don't know, like mine did. I know mine did. I don't know if her family is there, but you shouldn't care about her color. You shouldn't care about Kash Patel's color. What you should care about is they don't give a fuck about you. They're just opportunists. They don't give a fuck about any maggot out there. They see you as goddamn fools. I mean, and, you're just living in a country where some people think it's better to have money in their hand than to have ethics and morals,
Did a
You ain't
two-day
invited.
interview with Epstein accomplice and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, those interviews would be a major talking point as the administration weighs whether to release an audio recording and transcript of Blanche's meetings with Ghislaine Maxwell. A senior Trump official tells CNN that there are more than 10 hours of audio. Three sources tell us that.
God damn! I mean, look, 10 hours of audio. They trying to make this shit longer than they're trying to make these recordings with Maxwell bigger than the recordings that's already been kept secret of Epstein, bigger than the whole Epstein files. They trying to make something even bigger to deny. You know what I'm saying? Just to get people's minds off of the Epstein files being released. This is how far it's going,
There have
yo.
also been discussions around.
And I'm telling you, Nobody puts this much effort into something if it's only just about sleeping with little girls. I'm telling you, there's something else to this just as ugly. Probably is going to make these maggots' heads explode. Seriously. Like, seriously, there's something else just as dangerous, to the entire population of the United States. Otherwise, they wouldn't use all of this energy covering it fucking up. It's just
Todd
ridiculous.
Blanche possibly holding a news conference or doing a high-profile interview about this topic, perhaps with podcaster Joe Rogan, who has been highly critical of the administration's handling.
Oh, woo! They're going to do a podcast with Joe Rogan. What, Joe Rogan going to fall for the same bullshit he fell for the first time? I mean, wow. I'm just going to be watching that one for the laughs of it, because Joe Rogan has a piss poor history on sniffing out a crime. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy just like, he's promoted the damn pedos. It's like ridiculous.
Handling of the Epstein case. A reminder that not all of these Trump officials have seen eye to eye on every one of these agenda items. Let's just say if the dinner happens, hopefully Susie Wiles would be a buffer sitting between Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. One official tells CNN that some in the White House worry that making the Maxwell interview details public would just further revive the Epstein controversy. So regardless of whether or not a strategy dinner happened.
Keep in mind, they're just sitting there talking about it and just didn't release the files. Whatever happened to day one, they're doing everything else. Now they got people talking about, are we even going to release the Maxwell files, y'all? The DOJ Maxwell files, not the Epstein files. Not all the hundreds of thousands, not the thousands of victims, not all the hundreds of elite, aristocratic men throwing their dick down on the table with minors, creepy ass old fucks. You know what I'm saying? Not them to go out there, not even the ones on the Supreme Court, allegedly. Not those fucking men. No. We don't want to know about that. We want to know about the Ghislaine Maxwell files. And the DOJ files, the Ghislaine/DOJ files. These people, they're just too much. They're too much.
This does seem like a good opportunity for we here at The Lead to try to give the attendees something else to chew on. A sincere message and some notes, if you will, of what I think would help this whole controversy. Number one, put the victims above everything else.
They missed that part. It's like they went there to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, DOJ. They're just out there using the taxpayer dollars because, in Kash Patel and Bondi's own words, they're going to protect the victims. Yeah. We know. Now, okay, so where are the victims in this? Where are the victims? Anybody ask the victims? They're doing everything but investigating the goddamn crime. They don't even know if a crime even happened anymore. They're all saying it's a hoax now. All the Epstein shit was a hoax, y'all. Don't believe it. Especially you maggots. You maggots, if you believe it, we're going to whip your ass again. Okay? We know the centrists and the leftists won't let this shit go. But you maggots, you know your goddamn place. Get with the program,
Many
suckers.
of you in the administration have been talking about Epstein victims for months, for years. Do you have any relationship with any of the women who were trafficked and abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? This morning, the family of victim Virginia Giuffre issued a statement asking why no survivors had been invited to this dinner meeting. And some members of the family offered to go in Virginia Giuffre's place because she died by suicide early.
Intelligent people, and I'm not talking to maggots, I'm talking to everybody else. What do you think the reason is no victims were invited to the dinner? What do you think the reason is no one consulted the victims when they interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What do you think the reason is the DOJ is not even interviewing the other thousands of victims? To hear what they want to say, any new information. There's even new victims popping up. Did they even interview them? What could the reason be? You tell me. What could the reason be? What could the reason be? New victims popping up we never heard of? What could the reason be that they just not concerned about that one? Don't want to know what that one got to say? What do you think the reason is? You tell me. By the way, what is this image in the background? A cell, a rope, hanging from it, clothes ripped up, tied up in a knot, looking a little like Jeffrey Epstein's scene here. I wonder, what do you think it's all about? You tell me, but yeah.
Earlier this year, they wrote, quote, "The victims' voices must be heard above all." That's the most important thing. Number two, stop acting like we don't know what you're doing. You could all release a bunch of Epstein documents this minute if you wanted to. Remove the names of the victims and do it. Go ahead. Instead, there's all this nonsense about leaving everything up to the court. The House Oversight Committee, led by Republicans yesterday, they're the ones leading the charge on this, issuing subpoenas to the Justice Department for files and information related to Epstein. We know that you can release documents right now. We know that. Number three, please stop acting as if you guys weren't the ones who promised to release these documents. You did. We were paying attention.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office. It's sitting on my desk right now to review. A truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
That's
yes,
the FBI.
Exactly. Put on your big boy pants. But of course, there's a reason why they cannot do this. Because people are complicit in even a bigger crime than just molesting thousands and raping thousands of little girls over a 20-year period. No, the bigger crime is the honeypot who was involved in it. It's in the Epstein files. And you can, just like when you investigate other crimes and other conspiracies, all you got to do is watch how the roaches are scattering, how they're behaving. And then you might say, damn, this is interesting. Is that an admission? Is that behavior an admission to being involved in the conspiracy yourself? I mean, why are you doing things that you would not normally do? Supreme Court, Republican Party, why are you reaching to places that you've never reached for any other president in the history of the country? Why are you even willing to change the Constitution? Why are you willing to do this? And still do all of that without releasing the files. Yo, y'all, click like, click subscribe. Remember, I have been saying this shit the entire time. I've been saying it. I'm saying you may not agree. Fuck it. You have that right to not agree. But I've been saying this for a minute, So do a brother a favor. Do a fellow American a favor. Do a fellow American living abroad. If you are American living abroad, do me a favor also. Click the like button. Click the subscribe button, because it's not going to stop here. I will be back today with more breakdown, and I'm going to break it down just the same way I've been breaking it down the whole time, the only way I know how. So make sure you join me. I'll be back in a couple hours. It's going to be noon time for Eastern Standard people in the USA, and it's going to be that will be 6 towards the evening, 6 p.m. Central European time. I'll be back with it, y'all. Appreciate everybody. Click like and click subscribe.
Recipe, people subdued when the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. reality, see. They don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death ode? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they